lately they've been talking a lot about extraterrestrials visiting us. There was a congressional hearing, people saying that that the government, the U.S. government, knows about it and is keeping all this information secret, and all kinds of things. Lately, it's been on the news, and there was this fellow. His name is Avi Loeb, or I guess I'm pronouncing his name right. And he's from Harvard. He's a teacher from Harvard, and because he's at Harvard, he's a professor at in Harvard. He's given this big status. So if he says something about extraterrestrials, you got to listen to him because he's a professor at the university. Now, I have to caution, give you a word of caution that a lot of physicists out there don't agree with him, okay? And they dismiss him as a crackpot. But, he's published a book, and he tries to get the extraterrestrial thing out into the public, so that people, follow up on these extraterrestrial things, which I guess in the back of his mind he actually believes that, extraterrestrials have visited the Earth, or are visiting the Earth, or are watching us, or have something to do with us already, okay? And again, let me show you something. In a couple years ago, he was one of the persons involved with a disc, an elongated disc of sorts. Looks more like a rock, like just a flattened out rock, like an asteroid. But they claim that because of the orbit, it comes from out of the solar system. And so this is Avi Loeb talking about this asteroid called something like Oh Mama or something like that. Okay, so listen to him give his scientific speech here. Okay, if I can get this thing up there. Okay, here it goes. Listen carefully. Here it goes. Mammy, my little mammy, I'd walk a million miles for one of your smiles. My mammy, my mammy. Okay, so that was his dissertation on Oh Mama, or whatever that thing was called. And this was a paper, something he wrote. He wrote a book about it, and I guess he was trying to promote his book. And this was an article that came out once, and it says like this, says, it could be just another surface layer of a spaceship, this Umama, or whatever it was called, Umama, that was torn apart. It could be something like a sort of space junk. It's just like walking on the beach. Most of the time you see rocks or seashells, but every now and then you see a plastic bottle that is artificially made. It's a very different type of evidence than in the past. It's like a message in a bottle, a physical object that we trace that is artificially produced. And this was his declaration to in that article, again, because he was writing. He was publishing a book like 5 days after this article, so he was putting a little propaganda behind it, commercial. Right? The significance of Oumuamua is that it implies perhaps that we are not alone, that it was not naturally produced, that it was produced by a technological civilization, meaning a technologically superior civilization. That's what he's implying, right? The moral of the story is that even though we didn't get enough evidence on this object to get an image of it, or to be sure that it's artificial, it is sufficiently intriguing. We should continue to search the sky for similar objects. Okay, so he's one of these fellows who was trained or led to believe that science has to do with experiments and observation. And so you look in the sky and you see something weird and you say, oh, okay, that came from outer space, that came from another planet, another solar system, and you go in there and you try to analyze it and reach your own conclusions. It never occurred to him that maybe we don't need to do any of that. Maybe we can figure out in advance, right, whether anyone from any planet where there's human type life or human level intelligence, if they even have the possibility of coming to visit us. And that's where the issue is, because if they have no possibility, we shouldn't be looking for anything. Okay, if we by reasoning alone can figure out that it's impossible for living entities to travel interstellarly, then we don't need to look out for anything out there for evidence of extraterrestrials. Okay. And here he says the following, says, scientists' deep dive for alien life leaves his peers dubious. A lot of people don't agree with Abby. A Harvard astrophysicist says that material recovered from the seafloor could be from an extraterrestrial spacecraft. And this was more recently, and he says that little ball there that they found somewhere in the Pacific, that's another clue, that the extraterrestrials have sent something over to the Earth. Dr. Libb led an expedition to retrieve fragments of the fireball off the western Pacific seafloor. Libb identified the fireball as a technological gadget with artificial intelligence. Such discoveries may be the way scientists find evidence of extraterrestrial life. And again, this is not an issue of evidence. This is an issue of, if you can reason it through that it's impossible for someone to visit us, or that it's impossible for any living entity to travel interstellarly, meaning from there to here, right? Then we don't have to worry about evidence. And it's these people who think that science is about evidence, about producing evidence. Evidence is used only to persuade people. That's what prosecutors use evidence for, to persuade the jury, to convince them to their side of the case. It's got nothing at all to do with science. Okay? It's got to do with religion, with convincing the flock. That's what it's got to do with. Okay, so these people have the wrong notion of what the scientific method is about and what science is about. Here's another fellow. His name is Stevie Greer, and he says the following. He says, aliens started making more visits to Earth after the first atomic bomb. Why does he say that? Because we have this movie with Oppenheimer. It's been out, so he's going to try to see if he can fly with it and make some propaganda for his own, pet peeves. He says, was detonated because they're concerned that we're going to destroy the planet, a UFO expert has claimed. Who's the UFO expert? What's that fellow there, Steve Greer, who reminded me of, when he was younger, Mad Magazine. Anyways, our Dr. Stephen Greer, they call him a doctor. I mean, what kind of doctor is this fellow? I mean, is he a dentist, a foot doctor? What kind of doctor is he? I mean, you have people like William Lane Craig, who's a doctor in what? In spirituality? What kind of doctorate degree is that? That's absolute nonsense. And this fellow's more or less in the same boat. I mean, if he's going to talk about UFOs and he calls himself an expert, what kind of doctor is he? All he did was warm a seat in the university, which means that just because you have a PhD does not automatically translate into intelligence. And he continues, says, Dr. Stephen Greer, an American ufologist who founded the center, blah, 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 right, believes there are extraterrestrial beings out there who are light years ahead of us in terms of technology. So he believes it. So he just puts it beyond our reach. He says, they have super intelligence. They have all this technology, which is way beyond what we can even imagine. And by doing so, they put it out of your reach. They don't even answer the question what kind of technology they could have. They just say they have this super intelligence, this super technology, and because of that, they can come here and, zip around the universe wherever they want. And so they have all this technology to look at us or even visit us if they wanted to. But he says, despite being far from advanced than us, the development of the first atomic bomb by Oppenheimer in 1945, a story recently told in the movie, right, gave aliens a reason to come to Earth. Okay, so this is how they handle this information. Why do they even give this guy 10 cents little, piece in a magazine. He doesn't deserve the time of day. I mean, what does he have to offer? He's just going to say that there's all these intelligent beings out there. They have technology that we cannot imagine. It's unimaginable technology, and because of that, they gave all the. He gives all this power to these ETs, and because of that, now he can get away with saying, yeah, they can do anything. They're like God. And so we puny little humans, we're here and we have to live with whatever these people determine. And it's got to do with the subject matter of today, which is the holographic universe, because a lot of people think that that's got to do with, the aliens creating us in their computers. We're just a character in a computer program. So people watch a lot of this Hollywood stuff. I guess that's where they get their doctor's degree, and then they come out and they say, oh, I know, all the aliens, they're running around with spaceships and we can't see them because they're so fast, and they're studying us. Fortunately, they don't kill us. I mean, these people have no business being in the news at all. But that's what we're having. I guess we run out of news, so they have to bring this subject up every now and then, every 10 years or whatever. Okay, here's another fellow, and his name is Dave Grosh. And good old Davey, he testified at the in Congress, saying that the government is hiding all this information from us because all these aliens are invading us, and somehow us with our lower technology were able to capture one or two or some parts of a spaceship, and because of that, the government, keeps it under wraps so as not to scare, I guess, the people out there. So again, why are these people even in the news? These people don't deserve the time of day. They don't deserve even to have an opinion. Okay, I mean, if they want to have an opinion, yeah, go to your little SETI club, search for extraterrestrial intelligence and talk about it over there. But to be in the news and to be pushed on the public saying, oh, watch out, ooh, the Twilight Zone, they're coming to get us, and they're already here, and maybe they'll capture you and take you to another planet, and why all this nonsense? What is this about? Don't we have anything more important to consider, to talk about? Okay, and a lot of this started with this fellow. It didn't really start with him, but he was the guy who really gave it a big push. His name was Eric Wendonigan. A lot of you probably know him. And he came out with his book, Chariots of the Gods. I think it was 68 or 69, thereabouts. And yeah, they were talking a lot about the space program in those days. And he put his book in there to see if he could make some money. And he did make some money because of this. He was able to publish his book. And like you see there, he was saying that, those pictures that they had over there in Mexico, they had to do with, actually, what they were representing was an astronaut, traveling on a ship. And he told a lot of fibs, created some false evidence. He went to Peru in one case, and he got this ball, and he was put it in his book saying that it was extraterrestrial, and it turns out it was made by someone over there, and things of that nature. They're just trying to sell books, on this subject. There is no chance whatsoever of, extraterrestrials coming here, let alone even in contacting us. Because, like I say, the highest intelligence possible in the entire universe is the one humans have. There can't be any higher intelligence than us. If anyone, God and Almighty himself came down and sat beside us and explained to us anything he wanted, we would have the intelligence to understand him. Now, if you haven't been blessed with intelligence, you think there's some super intelligence out there, all you can do is complain to your mama. Maybe you should sue her for, making you the way you are. But we have the highest intelligence possible in the universe. Mother Nature has run out of blessings to give us. So this is it. If you don't have the intelligence, I'm sorry. Complain to your mother, sue her, whatever. Okay? And here, let me give you an example. Here are the Voyagers. Okay, these are the probes that are the farthest from Earth today, man-made probes. And there you have some numbers to give you, to put it into proper perspective. You have 9.46 times 10 to the 12 kilometers is how much light travels in 1 year. Okay, that's 300,000 kilometers per second times 31 million seconds in a year. Okay, now Voyager 2 travels at 17 kilometers per second, and in 1 year it travels 536 kilometers per year. Okay, that's in 536 kilometers a year. And it's headed towards a star by the name of Gliese, and which is 17 light years away. And so how fast will it reach there? How much time will it take for Voyager 1 to get there? In fact, not to it, but about 1.6 light years away from it. But it takes 300,000 years. And Voyager 2 is headed in a different direction towards Sirius, and it's going to be far away from it. It's going to be about 4.3 light years away when it goes near Sirius, okay? And Sirius is 8.23, I'm sorry, it's 8.7 light years away, and it would take Voyager 2 175,000 years for Voyager 2 to pass by Sirius. That's how slow these things are going. But if you look at it, these probes are traveling about half the speed that the Earth travels around the sun, and it's among the fastest speed that that we can manage so far. And people say, well, we're going to go faster in the future. Well, I don't know. See, a lot of this is used with gravitational assist from the planets. Sometimes they send it through to a planet like Mercury, or usually outer planets like Mars, or some big one like Jupiter or whatever. And it gives it a gravitational assist. It twirls it around and then kind of slings it out. Okay, that's the idea. But to think that we can travel much, much faster and even worse, close to the speed of light, it's just irrational, totally irrational. There's no way we can even approximate the speed of light, okay, 300,000 kilometers per second. We're talking about 17 kilometers per second in comparison. So it gives you an idea. The distances and the amount of time are just prohibitive. And so to think that we can ever go to the nearest star, let alone to visit some cousins out there in some place of the universe, it's never going to happen. It's just not going to happen at all. And which gives you an idea that maybe NASA, is working on the wrong projects. If they're working on projects for military purposes, no problem there. That's got some benefit, or for advancement of technology. But if they're really working to put settlements on Mars and later on in a nearby star, those projects should be terminated. No money should be spent on that at all. Okay, that's my 5 cents worth on that. Anyways, here's Jules Verne syndrome, what I call Jules Verne syndrome, which is today's science fiction becomes tomorrow's science. That's what people think. A lot of people suffer this syndrome. They say, oh, today we can't, but tomorrow we can. Well, the question is, can we do anything we want? I mean, can we develop any type of technology comes to our minds? For example, can we travel through a 1D wormhole to the 4D to another 4D universe? Is that possible? Is that even imaginable? Traveling through a 1D wormhole, or is there such a thing as a 4D universe? And so, when you consider these things, you got to look at, what we're trying to imagine here. We're doing a lot of fantasy, which has nothing to do with what Jules Verne did. In the days of Jules Verne, it was still within the laws or the realm of physics Today, these people are completely outside of physics because they're talking about abstract concepts. They're going to be traveling into a 1D concept called a wormhole, which is not a thing. And they're trying to reach another universe, which, we have to define the word universe to find out, what they're talking about. Is there another universe out there? If it is, does it share the same space that we do? And if we don't, what stops that space? What barrier is there between our space and their space? So if we all share the same space, we're talking about a single universe. There is no second universe out there. The only thing you can say is that there are another lump or clump of matter out there, and that we, in a way, it's separated from our clump of matter, which we could say is our clump is different than their clump. We can't talk about universes because universe includes the word space, and hopefully we have the same space throughout the universe. Okay, there's only one space out there, only one universe in that sense. Okay, so Jules Verne syndrome. Can we think of anything we want? Well, here's another thing that you might want to ponder when people say, yeah, we can do anything we want. We can invent anything that comes to our minds, etc. And is this possible? Here you have the thinker, saying that he's going to talk someday with a real live Donald Duck and Sylvester. Now, is that possible? So all these people are really going out into a world of fantasy, and they take their fantasies and put it into the real world. And yeah, I can't imagine us going through 1D wormholes. I can't imagine us talking to Donald Duck, but some of these people really think anything's possible. That they can become a cartoon character maybe, because, there's so much technology out there. They get bombarded by all this stuff that's out there, and then they casually just extrapolate the fantasy into the real world, and they say, well, Jules Verne, he thought that a lot of this stuff wasn't possible, and here we are, we went to the moon, and we traveled around the world in 80 days, and so on. Yeah, that was within the possibility, within the realm of physics. This stuff not even within the realm of physics. In fact, all of quantum mechanics and general relativity and string theory, none of that has anything at all to do with physics. The physical interpretations are just garbage, and the math is irrelevant because they're developing equations for stuff that has no presence in real life. We have no use for black holes and dark matter and big bangs and all that stuff that these people are researching and developing equations for. What do we need all that stuff for? So they're developing equations to ridiculous levels for stuff that has no reality, no foundation, nothing to do with our real lives. So what are these people doing? They call themselves physicists. They're mathematicians. That's what they are. Okay, one person made a comment about that. He says, I completely disagree with your beliefs about aliens. Okay, there's a bunch of illegal aliens over there. Okay, I was one of them. I have met quite a few highly educated people who have said their presence is totally obvious. Okay, so we have intelligent people saying that it's obvious and it's a done deal. Okay. Stanton Friedman, blah, 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 assured me that aliens are visiting us in a personal discussion after his UFOs are real lecture at our local university. 1972, okay. William Ginn from Anaheim took frequent trips with George, blah, blah, okay, the high desert to observe UFO activity. Okay, so I got to go to a dozen, I've been to Arizona and New Mexico quite a bit. And I still have to see a UFO, a little flying saucer with little green men. I never was stopped by any of them. I was stopped by cops, if anything, but not by little green men. 3 friends and I observed 2 craft doing extremely high-speed maneuvers one evening. These people see more than there is. Maybe they see a light in the sky, they take a picture of it, say, oh, I found a UFO. What did you take a picture of? A little light? There's all kinds of stuff in the sky. But to say that you took a picture of a UFO, meaning extraterrestrial. When I talk about UFO, I mean only extraterrestrial. And the question is, can you tell an extraterrestrial one from one made from U.S. Air Force? I mean, this is the type of questions you should ask yourself. And here's another fellow, and he says the following. He says, given that the place where we live isn't a rotating globe. I like his introduction. This one made my day, okay? Then there is no reason why there cannot be lands beyond Antarctica. They may be a few thousand miles away from the shore of Antarctica if you keep traveling south, at which point aliens are almost certain to visit here. What can I tell you? Yeah, you got these people out there who actually believe, in this case, a flat earther who says that there are lands beyond Antarctica. Well, yeah, you'll roll around the earth, end up in the North Pole if you go completely around. No, there are no lands beyond Antarctica, and hopefully, the aliens don't. You don't find an alien coming in your way from one of those lands. No, impossible. It's simply impossible to travel interstellarly, and I've talked about that a little bit in the past. And essentially, I'm saying that it's impossible to travel through what I call the linear regime, which is the separation, the great separation between the bird's beak created by the ropes that come out of every atom of our solar system to every atom, say Alpha Centauri, which is the closest star system. Proxima Centauri is the closest star, so 4.3 light years away. So you have this bird's beak, all these ropes coming out, and they eventually, even though they don't merge, but more of the ropes will go through the center and fewer ones will go through the outer side. So the density of ropes forms this bird's beak. And what happens is, at some point you only have essentially like a straight line. There's no gravity between Alpha Centauri and our sun, or the Earth, if you want, in the bird's beak. In the linear regime. And so whenever you hit the linear regime, you're going to go slow because you have nothing pulling on you. You're simply drifting along, all the ropes, through the ropes, just eternally, looking at ropes coming. You won't see them, but they're coming into your atoms and out the back. And you're just sliding like you would be sliding on like a little ball on the abacus. That's how you would be going. But there's no gravity. You don't have this 9.8 meters per second square that we have here on Earth, where you fall from the sky, you go fast. That doesn't happen once you hit the linear regime. From that point on to Proxima Centauri, you will not get that pull. Okay. And so you travel slow, that's one issue, and so you travel eternally almost because that's how slow it is, let alone even if you could travel at the speed of light, 300,000 kilometers per second, you would reach Alpha Centauri in 4.3 years, one way. Nobody's ever going to do that, assuming we could travel even at the speed of light, which ain't possible. So all these people are talking nonsense when they talk about extraterrestrials and seeing UFOs, meaning extraterrestrial UFOs. If there's some gadget from here on Earth, yeah, that's no biggie. But if you really think that the ETs are here and that they made the pyramids and that they made the Nazca lines over there in Peru and so on, all that is bunk, nonsense, poppycock. You should move on with your life and do something better. You're just wasting your time. Now, if you just want to fantasize, that's good, no problem. I mean, you want to watch a Hollywood movie on extraterrestrials, I watch them too. But to bring those into the real world and believe that they're here, you need 10 more beers.